Welcome back. How we doing? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hit the like button. Vinny D in the house. Bonjour. Yeah, Tesla was sick, man. It was perfect. It was perfect. Tesla was awesome stuff. 230. What a level. Hopefully you guys caught some of that. Night at the Roxbury. I know, yeah. I can't do it. You gotta get it right. One of these. La da da dee da. What song were they listening to? I'm trying to remember what song they were listening to in the car. What song was that? Nice job, Chef. I saw your comment. Well done, man. Hell of a trade. Morning, good morning. How we doing? Welcome back. All right. So, yesterday, nice, some decent opportunities across some names. Overall market was really crazy after Jerome Powell got on. That thing was just like a roller coaster, back and forth, back and forth. So that was some craziness intraday, for sure. I'll go ahead and pop that up. Right here, right after around 12 o'clock when Jerome Powell started to speak, right? Look at this. Up, down, right? Some crazy stuff. But there was one key thing that happened yesterday, and it was this 200 SMA rejection. Sort of midday yesterday, around that 43.35. This sort of area right here, 200 SMA sort of got stuck, and that's what ultimately led to that downside. But we'll talk a little bit more about it. We'll talk a little bit more about it intraday or on the futures when we get to it. Some pretty key rejection points, and this morning some very key levels. Actually, a very clear level on both ES and Nasdaq to be watching. So very nice, Robert. You don't need to be guessing, and you don't need to be proving that you are going to be correct in the chat for everyone on Tesla. We can make money on Tesla without trying to guess where it's going to go, right? It is possible, guys. You trade the intraday, you make money on the stock. You don't need to make longer-term guesses on where stocks go, okay? You can still make money. You can still trade the intraday. Like you saw yesterday, the 230 rejection point that we had in the live stream, straight from the live stream, it was the perfect rejection point of the day. And all we did was focus on the intraday levels, focus on the intraday reactions. We didn't guess anything. We just traded the move. That's all you need to do. So I think people think that you have to guess where stocks go to be a successful trader. Incorrect, right? You just trade the intraday, watch the levels that are rejecting, that are holding, and make your trades off those reactionary levels. So we don't need to guess. We don't need crystal balls to be successful. So, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. It is Friday, and I am pretty much checked out. I will tell you that. It's been a great week. We had some difficult, profitable days, but a little bit more. It took a lot of patience, a lot of mental capital for me this week. So very much a day where I'm just going to monitor. I have one setup that I like, and if it doesn't hit, I'm out of here, right? So today I'm going to set myself up with a really clean setup, a really good game plan, a really good, trading idea. And if it hits, right, I will take that trade. If it doesn't, then I will probably enjoy my weekend, right? It's Friday. It's not the day to ruin your week. If you've had a good week this week, guys, don't ruin it on a Friday. Don't trade 0 DTE and lose all your profits from the week. It's just not. It's not the thing you want to do for the mentality, right? For the mentality, for the motivation, for the momentum, right? The violence, the speed, the momentum. You don't want to do that for that, right? You want to make sure that you end the week on a solid note, whether that's a small win, a small loss, whether that's you don't even trade. Right? That's sort of where my head is on a Friday. Dre, holy shit. Thank you, Dre. God, I'm Dre. $50 donation. Let's get a couple of GGs in the chat for Mr. Dre over there. I appreciate that, Dre. Trade Brigade. I always have a hard time saying your name. Trade Brigade. There he is. What's up, man? Go check out his stream too, guys. He's a good morning streamer as well. Seems like I've never met him, but seems like a very down-to-earth individual like myself. Someone I think I can relate with. Amen, brother. Early this week was draining on the mental capital. Do a few laps in the Porsche for me. Oh, I will. I will. Today, the Porsche is getting an exhaust system on it. And man, oh man, am I going to get a speeding ticket this weekend. I will tell you that. So I'm looking forward to a nice speeding ticket. I'm mentally preparing for it because it's absolutely coming. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a good morning, right? Today, let's be defensive. Let's be smart. Let's not give away our profits on the week. Let's make sure we end this week on a positive note. That's always the goal for me on a Friday, right? That's the goal for me on a Friday. So let's get started. Let's pull up the schedule. I know we're all here for the schedule, right? So economic earnings calendar. Let's go ahead and pull that up. I don't think you have much on the economic today, right? I think it's pretty much done for the week. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, there's nothing today. So economic calendar, we got nothing on that. Earnings calendar, the only thing I could tell you is that if you're an OG subscriber to the channel, you remember me talking shit about solar names, right? If you guys are a long-time watcher of the stream, of the channel, of the Discord, you know I talked shit about solar stocks pretty much all last year, and they are getting absolutely destroyed from yesterday's earnings on SEDG. So Enphase down huge, FSLR down huge, and SEDG, Solar Edge down huge. Solar stocks are under a lot of pressure. So you guys probably remember that. I was never a fan of those. I just felt like solar names were propped up by government money, which they really are. And it looks to be like there is some problems in paradise over there. But I didn't expect it to be as aggressive as it is. But yeah, that's the one thing I would take away from yesterday's earnings. Solar names, big weakness this morning. So Tesla 200 SMA. We saw some really nice Tesla downside yesterday. Some really nice 230 rejections. If you guys caught that, that's a hell of a trade from yesterday, and that was something we talked about here in the live stream. I actually clipped that, and we saw that on Instagram and Twitter. So make sure to check those out. Nvidia 430, really nice rejections level to be watching today. Nvidia 430. We have Netflix 400, big level I'm watching. Google, still waiting for that Google 4-hour trend break. Google's like the last stock that hasn't broken down in that trend break, and I'm waiting for it. I'm still in some puts. I'm holding on to these puts. I am not letting this go. I am still looking for this downside to come in. We'll see. I could be fighting it, but I still like the setup, so I'm still maintaining this short position. AMD 105 was absolutely awesome again. The 105 rejection point. You guys know we've been talking about that one. Meta back at demand. And then Amazon breaking under that 129 today. This could be interesting to watch. Amazon back under 129. So actually some pretty interesting setups today. Especially with what the Nasdaq and ES are doing. So I think you might be able to see something today of clean price action. It is Opex, options expiration. Usually it's a little bit of a choppy day. So we'll just come in and prepare, right? This is what I say to the group all the time. if we come in and expect some choppy action, and if we get that choppy action, we can't be surprised, right? So if we do see it, protect yourself, right? Make sure you are protecting your portfolio. At the end of the day, we are portfolio managers. That's how we stay alive. We manage our portfolio risk. I know that's a very difficult concept for some, right? But you actually can manage your risk by the decisions that you make, right? That is possible. The decisions that you make, we can protect our portfolio. So there are certain days where that just feels like the right move. Today, I'm a little bit protective after some of the big moves we've seen. But here we go. Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq is sitting at a major demand level here today, right? This 14,800. 14,800. That is a previous low, a previous low, a previous low, and a previous low right here. We have 14.8 previous demand lows that is holding on in the pre-market today, right? So the Nasdaq, right? If the Nasdaq just sort of sits above 14.8 today, be careful of trying to battle for the downside, right? If the Nasdaq just sits above this 14.8 demand, be careful of trying to battle on the downside. If we break under 14.8 today and we see 14.8 turn into a rejection, that is definitely one of the watches that I will be looking for downside, right? If we get under 14.8, if we see a clear 14.8 rejection, that is absolutely a level that I will be watching for further downside. So 14.8, right? Very clear, very easy to comprehend. It's a previous triple bottom back here. It's holding in the pre-market. You are not shorting into 14.8. If you short into 14.8, you are exposing yourself to this, right? You are not going to be short if 14.8 is holding. If we get below it and we turn it into rejections, then we look for that downside continuation. Now, if we get a bounce today, right? If we get some type of a bounce off 14.8, where am I looking at? I am watching the 14,950, 14,950, and if I go down to the 15-minute chart, you guys can see right here, right? 14,950, which held yesterday in both the pre-market and the intraday, right? And then after we gave up that 950, that's where things really started to melt lower. So if we get a bounce, right? If we get a bounce off 14.8, what am I going to be looking for? I will be looking for the Nasdaq futures to bounce off 14.8 into 950, into this previous low, into these previous highs, into yesterday's lows before the meltdown, and I will look for the fade, right? That's the first watch. If we get above 950, the next thing I'm looking for is a bounce up into the 20 SMA towards this 15,050, right? And a rejection here, right? These are the two watches I have. You have previous lows, yesterday's general rejection area. It did get a little bit above towards that 15.1, but that 15.50, that 20 SMA was also very heavy yesterday as well, right? And so look at this, right? Yesterday on the intraday, if you guys were trading with the group, in the morning, we really saw that 20 SMA react, right? We saw 20 SMA here, 20 SMA here, right? Around 9:40 yesterday, we moved lower into that 20, ripped higher, came back down, tried to hold it again, got back lower, right? And we were just sort of messing around near this 20 until, right? And see, this is a good example of when there's economic data, or let's say Jerome Powell speaking, things just sort of get haywire, this was all just haywire action. But at the end of the day, right, look at this little 20 SMA rejection that came in that ultimately led us lower. So if we get a bounce today, right, which is, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if we do, I will look for us to push back into this supply, right up in this zone, and then see if I can fade it again. If we can't even get to there, then I'm watching the 14,950. All right, so I am not looking for longs today, guys. I'm just going to make that abundantly clear. That is the same concept I had yesterday. I told you guys on the stream yesterday, I am not looking to long anything, and once again, it was the right idea, right? If you longed anything yesterday, maybe you had 5-10 minutes of non-sweat, but man, was longing anything yesterday a sweat, right? Shorting yesterday was a lot less sweaty, and you just could sort of hold on and just watch every bounce get sold into. I'm still in that same boat, right? I am not looking to long anything. The only way I long something is if the Nasdaq is like substantially higher. It's just not there, right? And I'm just going to follow what the market is giving me. And right now, to me, it seems like the market's just giving bounces and fades. So I'm going to continue to look for that. So you guys can see we're sitting around that 14.8 today. I'm looking for the first bounce into potentially 950. If we get a bounce into 15,050, that's another bounce idea for a fade. And if we can't bounce at all and we just drop under 14.8, then I'm looking for the break and retest of 14.8 for downside, right? These are the only spots that I plan to enter trades today. If the Nasdaq futures are not at these spots, I'm going to be very cautious of entering a trade. 14.8 break and retest for downside, 14,950 fade, and 15,050 fade. Those are the three levels that I'm watching on the Nasdaq futures. QQQ, it's the same concept, right? Where are my levels? What am I looking for? First of all, it's the demand below 357.50, 358. That's the first demand that's holding this morning. So we have to watch that, right? We have to be careful of shorting into that. The first thing we'll watch is a break and retest of 357.50 of that 358 zone for further downside into this 353, right? Down here. 353 demand is next. If we get a bounce, right? This feels like the perfect trade today, right? Right here, what I'm about to say. The perfect trade in my eyes today is a bounce into the 20 SMA, into the previous lows, into these previous lows, into this previous triple top high, a bounce into 362, and a beautiful rejection play, right? That is the perfect play of the day for me, right? Maybe bounce back into around this trend line, right? Maybe sort of push higher, fade around this 362, fade around this 20 SMA, start to enter some shorts around here for that trend line rejection, for that 20 SMA rejection, for that 362 rejection, and then look for that downside. That seems to me like the perfect trade of the day, right up there. We'll see if we get it. All right, it's not always as easy as that, but that's definitely in my mind today. If I start to see the QQQ bouncing towards that 362, I will absolutely be looking for that fade around that 20 SMA level. So that's a big watch there. If we get higher, all right, if we get over 362, then you're watching the 365 level again, right? Right around here. 365 supply over here, right? So those are my QQQ levels. 362, 365, and then the 357.50 low. Same concepts, right? Either bounce and fades or break and hold under these lows for downside. ES, very clear today. 4,300, right? ES is blessing you with the very clear level this morning. 4,300, right? Look how clear this is. Previous lows, ES, 4,300. Previous lows, ES, 4,300. Previous lows, ES, 4,300. What's happening this morning? Absolutely perfect rejection of 4,300. If the ES is under 4,300 and you long something today, you are not paying attention to market. There is absolutely no reason to long something if the ES is under 4,300 today. 4,300 previous lows, 4,300 previous lows, 4,300 previous lows, 4,300 major previous highs right here, and you are sticking right underneath it. That is a weak market structure move, right? That is not strong. The fact that the ES is stuck under 4,300 is not strong at all, right? And I would not want to be longing into that rejection that you're seeing right now. So if you get above 4,300, if you start to hold above it, sure, there might be some scalps you can take on a bounce over 4,300, but that is something you're going to have to wait and be patient on before you actually take a long entry, right? So what I'm going to look for today is any bounce in the 4,300. Do we have rejection plays at that level for a downside, right? So I'm going to look to see if we get any bounces towards that 43.03 area. I'm going to look to see if there's fades at that level, and if so, right, I will look for that trade. The demand that we're holding on for by dear life, I really don't think it's that strong, is around this 42.80. It looks like you have some 42.80 demand from, you know, some previous lows over here. It looks like we're trying to hold on to that around that 42.80. So that's like I wouldn't say that's any type of a major demand, which is sort of interesting. I'm interested to see if it actually holds on. Let me see if I can get more time here, if there's really anything else. Yeah, I mean, there's some previous highs around that 42.80. You guys can see here, if I extend that to the left, this 42.80 has some previous highs in this general area, which is probably why it's having some reaction there. If I zoom in, you guys can see 42.80, some previous support here, some previous support here, some previous rejection points around this 42.80 as well. So I think that's probably why you're seeing a little bit of a support hold for now at 42.80. But I don't think, if the market stays under 43, right, I don't think this is going to be able to hold the ES up all day, right? So if I continue to see these 4,300 supply rejections, I'm going to assume you eventually get that break and retest of 42.80 for further downside. So 42.80 demand, that's the first thing to watch on the ES today. 4,300 supply above. If you get above 4,300, here's why I'm not longing anything. Again, let me just explain this to you. I am not interested to long 10, 20 ES points into the 200 SMA, into the 20 SMA, into yesterday's just sort of shit show, right? Again, it's just not interesting. I know that's going to be a sweaty long opportunity. Of course, there will be scalps to long if that breaks above. Of course, there will be opportunities to the upside. That's always, every day has opportunities to both directions. I just don't really feel like that's A+ to be fighting this trend, to be trying to trade a bounce when we've seen nothing but extreme weakness on the market. So for me, I'm looking for 4,300 supply. I'm looking for maybe a quick bounce and a fade at this level today. I'm looking for break and hold under 42.80, right? That's really my key watch there. Is there anything else I wanted to point out? You could, right? If you do get above the 4,300 today, you could watch that 200 SMA around this 43.35 area for supply, right? You could sort of be monitoring that whole 43.40, 43.35 area. You definitely could be looking for this rejection area around the 35 to the 40 area on the ES futures, right? I think that's a very viable watch if the ES does break over 4,300 and it starts to trade towards the 200 SMA, right? I think that's a viable short idea up there around that, also that trend line as well. So possible, right, around that 200 and that 20 SMA, possible rejections up here, but I think to get a really weak move, to get a really clean move, we just see 4,300 rejections, we break the 42.80, and we continue lower. So that's the ES. Next, I'll go to the SPY, and the SPY was pretty much perfect yesterday, man. The 431 rejection for a move into 425 demand, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Let me get a little bit more time here. So you guys can see right here, right? If I extend this over, this is a pretty important demand that we are potentially losing here on the SPY. I think I need to bring this down to around that 425 right there. Yeah, we're about to lose it here in the morning. But here we go. So 425, right? On the SPY ETF, you have 425 lows. 425 lows, 425 lows, 425 previous triple top, 425 lows, right? I don't think I need to explain that level too much. I think you can see that is a pretty major level, right? 1, 2, 3 bounces, multiple rejections, another bounce here which led to upside, and you are coming right back at that level. You're sitting right back at 425. So if the SPY turns 425 into rejections, right? If the SPY turns 425 into rejections, you're looking for further downside towards this 200 SMA and towards these demand lows at 420, right? If you hold under 425 today, I would be looking for further downside, right? If we hold under 425, I would be looking for further downside. So that's number one. If we hold above 425, right, don't short into that level, right? Don't fight 425 with puts. Make sure it's under that level before getting aggressive, because if we're holding above 425, then we could definitely see some type of a short-term demand bounce, near open. I think that's very possible. If we get that short-term demand bounce, it's going to be sort of interesting to see where it starts to reject. I'm definitely going to be watching the 431 for rejections, right? Definitely the 431 supply if we get up to that level. But I think there might be some more short-term levels, maybe around that 428, 429, that 20 SMA. I don't like it enough to really trade it, right? It's really not that clean here, right? Because really the clean level for me, when I look at this chart, the clean level for me is the 431, right? Right here. 431, 431, and 431. So if I do see a bounce on the SPY, I'm probably going to leave it alone, right, until 431, because that's really the supply that I want to fade. And that 20 SMA right up there around 430, that's really the interesting spot. So if we do sort of maintain that 425, I'm going to be a little bit cautious on the day. The real clean trade for me is the hold under 425, right? And the hold under 4280, right? That's the clean ES trade and SPY trade. Hold under 425, hold under 4280 for that continuation to the downside, right? That's sort of what I'm watching. All right, so ES 4300, 4280, right? In the immediate term, that's your levels to be watching. I hope that makes sense. 4300, 4280. And on the Nasdaq, the immediate term levels to be watching here, in my eyes, is first this 14.8 low, right? 14.8 low, and then this 14.950 supply high, right? That's really the levels in the extreme short term that I think we will find trades off of on the intraday, right? In the short term, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Let's jump into Tesla. If you guys could, we got 1,800 people here. We have 500 likes. Damn. If we could get some likes on the stream, I'd appreciate that. Get some support on the channel. I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you, guys. Let's continue. This is very interesting on Tesla, man. Man, what a downside move. What a rip to the downside yesterday was. I think Tesla was down like 10% or something. Crazy. So, where is Tesla moving lower to, right? We talked about this 200 SMA around this 214, this 214, 213 area, right? You guys can see right here, previous highs, previous low, right? And that 200 SMA, right? That is likely where Tesla wants to test, right? That's likely where Tesla will want to test. It's around that 213, 214, and that 200 SMA. It's a very interesting level down there, right? And so you can see if we go to the 30-minute, actually, you know what? Let's go to the 15-minute. 15-minute chart. No, I want 5-minute. 5-minute chart, right? You guys can see here, we are getting pretty damn close to that 200 SMA, right? And that demand at 213. So, if we start breaking under these areas, this is going to potentially get pretty aggressive, right? If Tesla has that strength to the downside to get under the 200, to get under the 213 area demand, this could get pretty interesting. So keep an eye out for that, right? That might be a fantastic opportunity if we get under that level, under the 200, under this 213 area. Could be very interesting. So that's the number one thing you're watching today. That 200 SMA should absolutely be on your watch. Now, yesterday, where did we find our short opportunity? We talked about this verbatim in the live stream yesterday. Look for 230 bounce and 230 rejections. That is exactly what happened. It was the cleanest trade of the day, probably. Tesla, break higher, rejection of previous lows, bam, beautiful short entry. We have that whole trade recorded live if you want to watch my video from yesterday. Next, today, 221, right? We can see the highs here at 221 in the pre-market. So, very clear, right? If we get a bounce into this 221, what are we looking for? We're looking to see, does Tesla bounce and reject the 221? The next level that I'm going to watch is this 224 area, right? Right up here. 224, we had some previous rejections, right? Intraday yesterday. So I will also watch 224 for possible rejections, right? So, I'm sorry, 223, my bad. 223, right? So 223, these are some highs here from yesterday on the 5-minute. You can see right here, some rejections at 223. I'm going to watch that. And then I'm going to watch the 221 double top here from both end of day yesterday and pre-market this morning. So 221, 223, watching those levels for supply today, right? Something like this. I'll look to see if I can catch the same type of trade that I did yesterday. If we break above those levels, then I would say you probably start to move towards the 225s, maybe even back to the 230s if Tesla has a recovery type day. If you do short off 221 today, if you do short off 223 today, you just need to be aware of holding your shorts into demand, right? So if you do get that beautiful downside move, watch the 200 and watch the 100 and watch the demand below around the 213, 210 area. All right, big watch there, and we are running some ads. All right, running some ads. Let me take a sip of some. Do I want water or do I want Celsius right now? Which one am I running with? I think I wanted some Celsius. Cheers. All right. Nvidia, Netflix. Nvidia. I mean, could it have been any cleaner off 230 or 430 yesterday? Could it have been? Yeah, the levels just work, man. They just work. They just work if you're just paying attention, right? If you just pay attention to levels, if you ignore all the bullshit out there, if you ignore the guessing games, the what's going on here, I can't believe that, this news is coming out here. If you just trade the goddamn levels, right? It works a lot of the time, right? And so yesterday, all you had to do was watch where Nvidia previously held as support, where Nvidia previously held as a rejection point, where Nvidia previously held as support, right? All you had to do was look for that previous support to turn into a rejection, and that is exactly what Nvidia did, right? So Nvidia yesterday, push, rejection, push, rejection, push, rejection, multiple rejections right at the 230 supply. And bam, right? Downside, great trade. That is technical levels. Beautiful stuff, right? Just watch the levels. So 230 yesterday was nice, right? What are we looking for today? I'm thinking this thing sort of slides towards the ultimate demand lows of around this 400, right? This 400, right around that 400 demand is really the next level on Nvidia. It's a little bit choppy, right? If you're not in at 430, right? So you can see over here, it's a really choppy area of price action, sort of just this slide higher, which is a little bit strange, right? It's just this slide higher right here. So the short side, the entry was at 430, right? And so for now, you're just chasing at this point. This was the cleanest short entry you could have possibly taken yesterday, right? Previous lows, previous low, previous low, previous low, break, retest, rejection. Again, as always. So that's your short entry, right? So if you're holding shorts from 430, right, then great. You can ride these out. I wouldn't be touching those. I'd want to be holding those. I'd be cautious of getting into a short entry at this point until you're back at 430, right? Because at this point, you're just taking shorts in the middle of a channel. It's really not that great in the grand scheme of things. It's really not that great to short Nvidia at the middle of this channel. I would want to be back into the 430, right? I would want to be back into the 430 level, and then I'd want to look for rejections at that level. I don't know if you're going to get that today, but if you do, that's what I would be watching, because I'm not going to short into these pre-market lows. There's some demand that stepped in yesterday around this 418. I don't really know what's going to happen at these lows here. I know what's going to happen if you get a bounce into 430, right? I know that I have an edge here that I can trade, right? I have more information here. I have more confidence here to enter a trade. Down here at these lows, these random lows in the middle of a channel, I have no idea what's going to happen, right? You could get a random bounce, a random drop, a random bounce, a random drop, right? I don't know what's going to happen at these lows, but what I do know, right, is that if we bounce into 430, I know there's supply up there, right? And I know I can take that trade. So Nvidia, the trade's over, right? If you're not in at the supply highs of 430, this trade is over. You could try to intraday trade it. You know, you could try to do your little 2-minute candle dance, but I just don't think there's... My internet's down. Can you guys still see me? Thomas, appreciate that. I don't know if you can still see me or not. Oh, delayed data just went on. TOS is having a tough time this morning, huh? So let me just move past Nvidia. Basically what I'm trying to say here is that I really don't like any setups today. That's basically what I'm saying here, right? What I'm saying here is I don't like any setups, and I would want to wait for 430 to hit before taking any trades on Nvidia, okay? That's that. Netflix. So Netflix, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a gap and go. I have some puts on Netflix, some really light positions, trying to see if this thing was going to fade yesterday. All right, I was sort of looking for this breakdown and fade back into the gap, but I don't think I'm going to get it. Netflix is just sort of holding up. It looks like it's around this 405 area that continues to reject. So we'll see. All right, we'll see. We'll see what this 405 high does today. I would be watching that on Netflix. If Netflix can start to break above this area, this could be a very nice long opportunity, and I will be watching that as well today. So I'll be looking to see, can we hold above 405? If we do, right, if Netflix can break over that 405, there might be some more upside here on Netflix over 405. I think it's very possible. So I would keep an eye on that, right? Netflix over 405 for potential upside. Man, TOS is breaking down on me here, folks. Wow. Maybe I get to end the stream early. That could be nice. That could be nice. Everyone else having problems here? Wow, that was slow. All right, so Netflix, right? We can see a very clear top here, right? Around this 405. So what I would be looking for today is a break and hold above for upside or more rejections for potential downside, right? So 405 Netflix, that's the level I'm watching. Google. Oh shit. Google almost broke 138, right? Google almost broke 138. All right, so we can see here 4-hour chart, right? 4-hour chart on Google. It's possibly starting, right? It's possibly starting. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, I'm short Google. I have been short Google. I'm holding shorts on Google. I really want this 4-hour trend break. I'm starting to see it happen, right? I'm starting to see this top starting to form, and I know that I've seen other stocks break these trends and continue lower, and so I'm just sort of sitting it out. I really like it. You're gonna need to break under 138 today for a continuation, but I know that I'm starting to see this break of trend. I'm starting to see this supply high continue to stay in around this 141, right? And so I like this play. I'm gonna continue to hold this play, and the key level that has to break today for this thing to really work, right? For this thing to really work is 138. All right, 138, 138. Keep an eye on that level today on Google, 138. AMD, Meta, Amazon. All right, so AMD. Guys. Actually, anyone that's in, how do I find the chat room when the market opens? It's called options chat, right? Right here, look. Right there, options chat. There it is. Market open, after hours, options chat. It's all right there, my friend. All right. So, AMD. AMD. 102. This 101.70, 102 demand. Look at how important this level is, right? Look how many times we've held that low. You could also see, look how important that 105 supply was yesterday. What a rejection of 105 supply. What an awesome rejection of 105 supply yesterday. Congratulations to anyone that caught that once again. Today, right? Today, what are we watching? Look how clear a break and hold under this triple bottom low would be, right? Look at how clear this could be today on AMD. I would love to get it, right? Doesn't mean we're going to, but we can see lows, lows, and lows, right? If AMD does something like this, right? If AMD does something like this, then this could be a fantastic downside continuation trade. All right, so I'm definitely going to be watching for a break and hold below the triple bottom. I will also look for a pop into supply for another fade, right? That's how I'm going to structure this trade today. So either a pop into 105 for another fade or a break and hold under the weekly lows and a continuation to the downside towards this 99-100 area. Very nice watch there on AMD today. All right, Meta and Amazon. Meta, I just wanted to point out the 320 rejection that we talked about all morning. First of all, right, we talked about that here on the live stream. That was absolutely textbook. 320 rejections, couldn't have gotten much better. That was a really nice trade yesterday. And now we are back at demand, right? Meta is back at this demand around this 310, 20 SMA. We're sort of sitting right at that 310 and 20 SMA. I believe that if Meta breaks under 310, this could get started to the downside again, right? This 310 is very important here. This was some major previous highs, right, around this 310. Even if we go back, look how important this 310 low is, right? See these lows here? 310, 310, 310. All of this is 310. If Meta breaks under 310, I think this could really start moving, right? Because that's a break back under that demand. It's a break back under the 20 SMA. This could start to give you that downside move that you're looking for. I would be watching that 310. Now, of course, it is above 310 right now. So the trade right now is not to the downside, right? You have to understand that. We are not looking to trade downside on Meta right now if it's above 310. Because honestly, this could just be, right? Once again, this could just be maybe a little flag, right, back into the demand, and maybe this is a 310 bounce if the market does find some strength. That's a big caveat to that idea, is that the market will need to find strength for Meta to bounce off 310, right? That's just, it has to happen. We'll see if that happens. I don't know about today, but this is a big area for Meta, right? It's this 310, 20 SMA. This is a big spot for Meta. I'd be paying attention to what it does here. The last one I got for you guys is Amazon, and then I'm getting out of here. Amazon, 129. You guys know we've been watching this 129 for a while, right? We've been talking about 129 holding as support. If we go to just this week on the 15-minute, right, we can see right here, look how many times Amazon held 129, right? Look at this, 129 hold, 129 hold, 129 hold. Now today, we're trading under 129. What does that mean, right? Now we look for bounces and fades at 129. And this would also be lining up nicely with the 20 SMA today. So if we get a bounce on Amazon into 129, into that 20 SMA, if we start to see some fade-like rejection candles, let's look for that trade, right? And let's see if we can trade it back into the 127 lows. If Amazon breaks, right? If Amazon rejects that 129 and breaks under this 127, right, this thing could get going. if we get some more market action. But for me today, right, I'm looking for that push into 129. Look how clear this is on the even on the hourly chart. Look at this. Lows, lows. If we get a push into 129, this could be a really nice fade move at that level. That is definitely something I'm watching today on Amazon. All right. That's what I got. Let's get a quick recap on Nasdaq ES. Let's get an idea of what they're doing. All right, so you can see as of right now, look what the Nasdaq's doing, right? The Nasdaq is trying its best to hold on to the 14.8 demand lows, right? Nasdaq 14.8 demand lows, that's your key watch today. And then on the ES, your key watch is the 42.80, right? Very clear levels to be paying attention to. 42.80 on ES, 14,800 on the Nasdaq. Watch those lows today. Do not short into lows. Look for a drop in a retest. Friendly reminder, it is Friday. It's a beautiful day to be alive. If you've had a good week, don't screw it up. If you've had a tough week, don't make it worse on 0DTE. Don't come into today, I'm going to trade 0DTE. I'm going to make all my losses back in one day on 0DTE. It is, guys, right? I know a lot of people don't think this way, but I know there's some people out there, and the reason I'm like this is because I want to try to stop that, I want to try to help some of those people out there that are this way, right? Because these are the people that are having the most trouble. Just think about the long term, think about the risk management, think about finding consistency. You want that consistency. You want to be comfortable every day that you walk into the market, right? If we're out there shooting those big shots, feeling risky, getting sweaty, right? This is not going to be something that is sustainable. It's not going to be something that you can do, and you're not learning something, right? You're just sort of taking shots and seeing what sticks. So I know not everyone's this way, right? Trust me, I know everyone. I hope that you guys are, you're managing your risk correctly. But I hope that I try to connect with some of you guys that are having maybe some problems, taking big risks. I think focus on consistency, focus on learning a strategy, focus on the long-term goals. Trading is something that if you learn it correctly, you could do it for the rest of your life. And I think that's very cool about trading, right? If you learn trading, you could be 55 years old sitting in your office, right? Trading. You could do it anywhere, anytime, any age. And so if you're young out there, instead of being wrapped up in the Twitter YOLO bullshit, how about try to learn a real strategy and really learn something that you can do for the rest of your life. All right? Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for all the support on the live streams. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Yeah. Peace.